All right, so in this example, we're going to look at the physical skills needed to be able to bend strings. I'm going to break it down to the most atomic level that I possibly can and show you really what helped me get to the point where I can bend strings as well as I can. I trained each finger individually. So, for example, and this is a lot like vibrato, I'm going to take my index finger, for example, and I'm going to place it down on a fret anywhere on the neck. You should try this all over the neck. And I'm going to use various muscles in my arm and my hand to move the string upward. And I'm not going to bend all the way. I'm just going to move it a little bit back and forth. And then I'm going to use my second finger, and I'm going to do the same thing. Then I'm going to do my third finger, and I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to do my fourth finger. I can actually bend with my fourth finger. And I'm going to do the same thing. So let me break this down for you. There are a few different ways that you can use your muscles to move the string, and yours will probably end up being a little bit different from mine, but here's how I do it. I move at the elbow, so depending on where I am at the neck, sometimes I'm actually moving at the elbow like this. Sometimes I'm rotating, depending on which fingers I'm using to bend, and as I mentioned, where I am on the neck. I've got my wrist cocked back a bit. So if you're doing some kind of fast run, you might have your wrist arched like this. I find that if I get my wrist cocked back just a bit, it gives me better leverage for bending. And then I'm also using my fingers. So let me see if I can demonstrate this for you. This joint right here is flexing, and then these two joints right here are extending. And it's hard to see because the finger isn't actually moving that much, but I'm using those muscles. It's kind of like my fine tuning, where my wrist and my elbow are doing the bulk of the heavy lifting, and then my finger is doing that little bit of fine tuning. So once again, place down the finger and just move the string. Stay loose, stay flexible. The last thing you want to do when you're bending strings is get all rigid, because then you won't have enough control to get up to pitch and stay there if you need to. I'm doing each finger. I'm doing various strings, various frets. The way that your hand is going to be presented to the fretboard is going to be different depending on where you are, what string you're on, and what fret you're on. So the muscles are going to move slightly differently, but you still want to maintain that feeling of comfort and flexibility. And if you work on this for a while, you'll actually get to the point where you feel strong. And that's really where you want to get. Now, after you've practiced this for a while and we moved on to the oral portion where we're actually listening for the right pitch and trying to bend up to it, what we're going to do is now we're going to bring in our other fingers and use them to reinforce. So then if I have my third finger down, I'm going to put my first and second fingers down behind it so I can really get a grip on that string and move it as far as I need to.